Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast. Real Whovians cast. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Chris. What's up, Chris?
So, do you pass those out to people so they can see that you hate Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Real
making
Whovians
sure.
Cast. I pass it out. I paid for them. Matrix Lord 212 business cards. Absolutely. What's up, Mike D?
Shit, I got 3 cars.
You got 3 cars. I got 3 phones. I'm popular.
Okay, the real question is the battery charged?
Well, I charged it knowing you, so now it's at 100%. So there you go.
That's right. Like
All
Mike
right.
D. Fucking 100%, motherfucker.
Got to make sure I'm at 100% when I'm dealing with Mike D. All right, what's up, Scott?
Hello, all. I only have 1 bottle of water.
Scott's drinking vodka. Don't be fooled.
So, you know, I didn't get to see too many people's videos after I did my own, but I'm kind of curious because I liked Empress of Mars.
So did I.
And I didn't get any heat that I liked it. Like, because some people didn't like it for some reason. So they are allowed to not like it, I guess. I don't know, but I really liked it. You didn't like it, Mikey?
It's not that I didn't like it. It just was kind of like, all right, it fucking mediocre, like every other fucking episode we've had.
You know, I really didn't think it was mediocre, actually. I was kind of really into it. I don't know, man. I was really into it. Maybe because I love the Ice Warriors.
I want to hear what Mike D said because I felt the same way. You guys remember when you asked me, I was like, I don't know. It was just like, okay.
I mean,
I don't know. You feel this Mike D, like, what did you not like?
Yeah, all right, go ahead, Mike D.
Well, I mean, we can. I don't want to go into like this long diatribe about the episode. I mean, we can like all kind of jump in at different points about it, but
sure.
It's not that I hated it or anything. It's just that it seemed like kind of a light episode. It was like, all right, the Doctor and Bill were there, and they were kind of in the background for like most of it, and it just, it was. It's not that it sucked or was terrible. It just was like. It was what I expected it to be, which is just kind of like one of those throw-in film episodes that got you from like, what I guess they expected the Monk trilogy was going to be hardcore,
right?
To get you to like the episodes, 10, 11, and 12. Because I mean, I got to tell you, I don't know. I think I'll like the next one better, The Eaters of Light, but. I mean, I liked the Ice Warriors. It was interesting seeing like the retro look of them, but they still look kind of clunky, and they looked a bit clunky. And I know they did that as a retro thing, but people that aren't familiar with the Ice Warriors, like Joe, who hasn't watched the classic series, they might be let down by seeing the look of the Ice Warriors, thinking that they're kind of clunky looking. But
he's just kidding, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a smart ass, so I mean,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and I just thought of this just now. Did Mark Gatiss copy off of himself with Victory the Daleks, where the Daleks were the servants of Winston Churchill and those people and playing it off? And that was also a Mark Gatiss episode, so the Ice Warriors, like, pretending to be a servant. Not that they invented the Ice Warriors, but I'm saying, like, he pretended to be a servant because he has overall agenda, just like the Daleks did, which were Ironside.
Isn't it clear?
With this Ice Warrior Friday, he did have an agenda, but it was actually just to get back. Initially, it was to get back to
I'm saying you can honestly say, just like Moffat copies himself.
The invasion plan, I think, was still up for debate. But
no, but what I'm trying to say is that Gatiss copied off of himself as well. So it's like, maybe he needs to leave too, because maybe they're running out of ideas and they're kind of mix-moshing things that they've done into one goal. Whatever. I just created this for that.
At least on a good up note.
That's the phrase of the day, mix-moshing, right.
Big old pot-bellied crayon.
So, we've never seen an Empress before, though.
Well, it was cool seeing Alpha Centauri show up at the end. I knew that they were going to show that character from something I read, but it was kind of neat seeing that throwback to like the Peloton stories, and
I liked it. But you know what? It was spoiled for me though before I saw the episode because I don't know if Louis realized. He's like, "Oh, Alpha Centauri's," and I'm like, "Ah!" And like I got so mad, like, "Ah!" So I try to stay away from the phone because I don't want to be spoiled about anything.
And the fact that they had Alpha Centauri in the two, there was more than 2 episodes, but they had him from the Pertwee eras of both the Curse and Monster of Paladin, and then on top of that, able to have the same actors voice the character. That was
cool.
just phenomenal.
I don't know.
I saw that. It's because when I heard that big old
I found that. Yeah.
No. But well, real quick, I was going to say I found the latest Who crew that was just put up yesterday more entertaining than that episode.
I found that the surprise twist, because here it is. Right away, I saw the guy catch love, and I'm like, here we go. The guy's going to try to take away power and take over the whole army in front of the captain, just like they usually do in a lot of different episodes of Doctor Who. But then they had a reason behind it, and I'm like, oh, the guy tried to kill him. Like, well, they tried to kill him because he was a deserter. So that was a different take. I like that. And,
well, the point of it was they were showing like they were contrasting the idea about the Ice Warriors were being subservient to the Empress, who was like wanting to, go hardcore and go to war and all that kind of shit. And then they were contrasting that with the British soldiers who were all about queen and country and were wanting to go to war. And it was yet again like another sort of like a poignant way of illustrating the fallacy of war. And then they rewarded the guy who was the guy that
turned on catch love, right?
Yeah, that was like the ran away from the battle, ended up being the one victorious at the end that went on to kind of evolve into going off and adventuring into space with like the Ice Warriors and whatever, charting uncharted territories with them and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that was kind of like the whole byline. The whole byline with that episode with what the theme of that was.
But does that make sense from Cold War that the Ice Warriors are peaceful now and they're working together with other races? Is it because of this event?
This took place before those.
I know that, but the Ice Warrior that came afterwards, that means that they've had if it happened in the 1800s, like, or whatever time period it happened, then that means that all this time now they're peaceful, and that guy that woke up, in Cold War, his people are peaceful now, and he's the only one that's left that's like an Ice Warrior, really. So this is kind of like a prequel to that, right? To Cold War.
I don't think they put that much thought into that.
Well, only we are, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, everything.
They're probably like, run here, shoot here, growl. It's like, okay. I don't know. After the Truth Monk thing, I thought this was a refreshing, change, and it was funny how everything's back to normal like that.
Was it a 10 out of 10?
It wasn't a 10 out of 10 for me. I gave it 8.5, but I liked it a lot, actually. Maybe it's because I'm used to the old series, and I'm just like happy about that. So maybe I'm biased to the episode because we got to see the Ice Warriors. I don't know, but it might be that I'm biased. But you know what? Again, if I enjoyed it, who cares? I'm not gonna psychoanalyze myself. I think
you've been brainwashed watching another podcast. That 8.5 rating.
I'm not watching another podcast. Honestly, I did the cast. I did the watched them. I almost missed the episode because there was so much stuff going on here. I got it, thank God, just in time. And then we did a cast like immediately after.
Well,
and it was quick.
Yeah, the interesting thing I would rather talk about, but which is much more interesting than most of the episode itself. What the fuck was going on when the Doctor entered the TARDIS? And Missy's there, going to be piloting it. But what was that exchange about where she was like walking over and it's like, Doctor, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? What's wrong? What was all that about? Like she could see something being a fellow Time Lord that was off with him. Like they're alluding to something. I took it as more like, because they even had to repeat it a couple of times. It wasn't just a casual sort of thing like, like you would expect the Doctor to walk in there expecting like Nardole piloted the TARDIS, for him to see her and go, hello, get, peekaboo,
I mean,
guess who's piloting the TARDIS? But she seemed like there was something kind of going on in the exchange between the two of them.
Well, was he kind of pissed off because, I mean, maybe I'm looking too much into this, but, the last time she did something to the TARDIS, she turned it into a paradox machine, and she fucked up his whole ship. That Captain Jack had to, basically almost blow it up inside, and he had to rewire and put it back together. So this is kind of like his domain. This is his ship, his thing, and you're in here. It's like violation.
So okay, so from that point, why did the TARDIS all of a sudden decide it was just going to take off and leave the Doctor and building?
Because Missy's doing something to the TARDIS, obviously. I think.
I don't know. Is she? Is Missy doing it?
I think she
or is it some other? Or is it the TARDIS is sensing there's something going on that it's being.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even reacting to her. I mean, it's not making weird noises like it did with Clara and stuff. It's just like.
Well, yeah.
So this is a couple episodes where it started acting up, and if you notice, both times it started acting up, Nardal's been in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, is something happening through him that the TARDIS is like, wait, no, something's wrong.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, Nardal. I mean, we think, he knows how to fly the ship and everything. He really doesn't know his ass from his elbow because he's like, oh, what do I do?
Maybe he's supposed to be dead, and that's why the TARDIS is like, oh, how are you here? You're supposed to be dead. I don't know. I'm spitballing here.
Well, what episode was it? Was it Pyramid at the End of the World?
Yeah.
That was the first one where the TARDIS was kind of getting kind of a bit tetchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one, in this episode, I don't recall.
Wait a minute. It was acting up. Didn't it act up in Thin Ice? So was it wasn't it kind of malfunctioning a little bit here and there?
I don't remember that.
Or was it in the beginning, or is it? I'm not sure. I got to go back and watch.
And you know what's interesting? As far as we know, Missy's not in the next episode.
I thought she is.
I just read a synopsis where it just said the Dr. Bill and Nardal. I guess, did they put her back in the vault that quickly?
You really think they're going to put her in the vault?
Could it be that they trust her in the TARDIS?
Oh, yeah,
would
true.
Doubt that. I would not leave my worst enemy in history in my ship.
Yeah, but at this point, Mike D's got a point, because right now she's convincing the Doctor successfully that, oh, I'm turning over a new leaf. Trust me with your spaceship.
Though. I don't think he's convinced. I think that's why he's looking at her like,
yeah, but maybe
what did you do to my ship?
Yeah, but maybe they need her there. They need someone there in case the TARDIS gets a mind of its own to take off again, like it did when they were on Mars, right?
Yeah, but it went to Misty.
If Nardal wasn't in there, they'd feel like, okay, I guess we're just going to wait around for her to show back up sometime, hopefully.
But the ship went to Missy, though. You notice that?
No, it didn't. It didn't go to Missy.
It went back to the school.
It went back, and then he went over to the vault, and he was like, "Hey, can you show me how to fly this, or there's something wrong with it?" But both times, it's just been him in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
So I have a funny feeling that maybe it's just a coincidence, or maybe him being in it is causing some sort of malfunction.
Well, he was the one that was telling Nardal to keep him there, and it's almost like the Doctor's kind of like, it's like that kid that gets to Disney World, and it's kind of like they're not thinking rationally. They're all excited and overstimulated by all the stuff going on. That's kind of what the Doctor's doing now, being off on his adventures with things, and the TARDIS is kind of like the parent that's like, we need to be back there for some reason, because they keep going back there. There's a reason why the Doctor stayed there for 50 years, right?
Yeah, it's got to be something else.
Yeah. There. Like the TARDIS is even like, well, I got to, like the TARDIS is even going, I got to go back there for some reason.
It's almost as if he knows that somebody's going to alter time, and he goes back to all that to just stay there waiting for this thing to come, just in case. Like the Doctor, meaning he just stood there in the school, in that area. He knows something that they're not letting on for.
Well, what if like, you know how he made that oath with those people that were going to kill Missy in that episode that we saw? He made an oath to watch over her body. I know he said, she doesn't have to be dead. He just made an oath to
1,000
watch
years.
over her body. She's in the vault, right? So what if her leaving the vault breaks that oath? And something's getting screwed up with that.
Yeah, but they're a bunch of scrubs, though. Anyway, they think they're important.
I mean, that's what we saw, but we don't know if maybe later on it was like, listen, if she leaves that vault, you broke the oath, and we'll take your life instead. I mean, maybe that's
how. Where there's a higher form connected to those people.
Well, like maybe not even a higher form. Maybe it's just that maybe he got the upper hand, with them that one time, but he did make an oath to watch over her.
So whoever's in charge of the oath will punish him, like the Medusa Cascade or somebody.
Yeah, because if you have an oath and you break it, there's no consequence. What was the point of the oath? You know what I'm saying? So maybe her leaving the vault is like is breaking the oath, and he can't do. Maybe that's what leads to his regeneration, or I don't know. I mean, because I agree with my D. The way he was talking and the way she was like, "Doctor, what's wrong? What's wrong?" It was very weird. If he was just upset with her being in the TARDIS, he would just be like, I think he would have said something like, "You don't belong in here," or, "How dare you fly the ship," or something. But the way they were talking to each other, it was like something's wrong. Like something is happening right now.
What do you think, Scott?
I'm thinking he somehow felt that she was ill. That's the way I was looking at it. That he could just literally look at her and go, okay, she's not right.
But exactly because they played that music when she was in the TARDIS, like the backwards thing that they did.
Yeah.
So, like a chant.
So there's
like
something wrong with her mentally, the TARDIS, and that's what's going to lead them to this next storyline. So I wonder if it's part of. I wonder if that Eaters of the Light. That's one of the reasons why.
Well, maybe she's poisoning the TARDIS, and he's connected with the TARDIS, so he knows that something's off with the TARDIS because of her. So he senses it. Like he's like, "What are you doing? Like, like what's going on? Like, he can't put his finger on it, maybe."
Bingo.
I don't know. And then 3 more episodes left. Then the Christmas special. Eaters of Light. We got the trailer. What is it supposed to be? It's like some creature that's taken out the end of the Roman Empire.
It looks like some sort of like lizard thing with like tentacles or something.
Like I said,
and she's not. That's weird that she's not in it at all, though. That's odd.
His reaction to her, now that we've been discussing this, almost seems kind of like, since he's been away, it's almost like he's been clued into something, like walking in there and saying like he's kind of like second guessing himself, like. Remember when he was talking to her and he was saying, "Oh, this is part of the process of like becoming good or whatever. You're gonna feel regret for things." And when he walked in the TARDIS, it's almost like he had like an epiphany there, where he kind of was like looking at her like a little bit more quizzically, like, "Well, this has kind of progressed quickly. Now she's flying the TARDIS, and maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here."
It was the same look that he gave Ashilda when he got a premonition that he's connected to her future and causing her future, and she's supposed to be something important. Maybe he got a premonition, like a bad feeling with her in the TARDIS, like he senses that death is coming. Death is coming because of her, that this is a bad idea. She's never going to turn good. Maybe it's like a fraction of like that gut feeling that get her the hell out of the TARDIS, put her in the vault because she's going to kill your companions.
Well, in the episode with Tennant and Smith and the War Doctor, they all kind of passed a memory amongst themselves where they had like a psychic memory where they all kind of popped into their head simultaneously of a memory of what was going on that they all had to kind of be in sync with. It's almost like he had like some sort of like thing pop into his head, like upon seeing her, it like triggered some sort of memory of like what's to come. Almost like maybe his next regeneration witnesses something, and I mean, we don't know if they're gonna whatever, but regenerate. Like they're gonna have something happen to where they're gonna have a simultaneous regeneration or something or whatever. But it's like upon seeing her in the TARDIS, it's like it triggered a memory that he was unaware of. It's like all of a sudden having a thought come into your head, like of asking a question that you didn't know you were supposed to ask somebody, and all of a sudden now, like I needed to ask somebody this question.
But again, we always think all these different scenarios, and turns out to be something that's not as good as we make it out that it could be.
Uh-huh.
It's something really stupid.
Well, we can bet on that.
Like, oh, you did your hair, Missy. When did you have time to do that?
I was thinking if they're going to continue with this potential, oh, she's convincing him that she's turning good. I mean, they could even just say that. I don't think they're going to explain it at all, to be honest. But if they are going to, it's probably going to be something like, oh, he was just surprised that she just came to save him and didn't do anything nefarious with the TARDIS that he knows of.
What if something's been sustaining her, like while she was in the cell and the monk thing was going on for like 6 months or whatever? Maybe he's had a lot of stuff going on. Maybe he's been preoccupied, and it kind of dawned on him all of a sudden. A thought popped into his head.
Yeah, how did you survive in 6 months?
Yeah,
without eating, right?
But the fact, and she even mentioned that in that last episode, in a way, the fact that you've been gone for so many months and nobody's come to visit me. So,
well, we know the Doctor plays people along for like an ultimate goal too. That's kind of like their way of like kind of. They'll write something into something 3 episodes later that explains something that happened 3 episodes before.
Right.
Maybe like he hasn't seen her in a TARDIS since she's been Missy, right? So maybe like seeing her behind the console triggered some sort of thing like, wait a minute, maybe like her ultimate plan has been to get into the TARDIS. Or a TARDIS for some reason.
Well, the last time he saw the Minister in his TARDIS was Roger Delgado, right? When he was like
John
Simmons. That could be what happens.
No. When they were both in the TARDIS at the same time together, it was like
Joe
Grant,
yeah,
and the 3rd Doctor and his doctor.
Well, technically, it wouldn't have been the 8th Doctor.
No, but I'm talking about the TARDISes were mixed together, and I guess wasn't there a scene like they're both in the TARDIS at the same time?
The 3rd Doctor, and it was when they were encountering.
So like that's triggering a memory, maybe with.
Wasn't it the Time Monster?
Yeah, thanks. That's what I was trying to think of, the Time Monster.
The thing I'm thinking,
exited one TARDIS, there was another.
Maybe the thing is Missy's. Maybe this is going to tie in with the John Sim thing, where like she's going to go back and encounter John Sim at some point, and there's a flash in his mind that he sees this. There's some sort of like cognitive thing where. He's just got like a moment in his head, like an epiphany all of a sudden that, Missy's like got like there's some other means to like an ends that she's got in her head and maybe realized, oh shit, I just got played by her. But he's not going to let on to her about that.
Or maybe she knows that John Sim, she's going to prevent her own timeline with something that she's going to.
Well, here's the thing. We got to look at these people. Like the Doctor and the Master obviously have been like, they know each other. They're like, even though they're enemies, it's almost like your friends' quirks and idiosyncratic behaviors and stuff. So maybe he recognizes, wait a minute, like I remember, like I know, how like
I know that face before. That's when you try to be nice to Joe Grant and you must kill them. Like
well,
that's
it's kind of like if you're around like your spouse or your partner, and you've been with them long enough, or a family member, and you're around them like a brother or sister or parent or whatever, and they give you kind of a look, and Missy seemed to be laying it on kind of heavy, like, oh, what's wrong, my dear? What's wrong, Doctor? And it's like he was looking at her like, wait a minute, something's kind of smelling rotten here,
Right.
Maybe the Eye of Harmony was like, hey, wait a minute, didn't I eat that guy?
Yeah.
The whole thing about John Sims, I'm still going on the notion. I forget if one of us who mentioned it. But if it's true that he's supposed to do like a Vulcan mind meld with Missy, I'm thinking that John Sim preview we saw is actually in her head when he's trying to figure out what's wrong with her.
Well, could this be the backstory of something bigger going on that could the Time Lords have manipulated the TARDIS somehow or programmed? Because it seems like the TARDIS went back there because it knew that Nardole had no one to count on other than Missy to know what the fuck to do. So it's almost like
What if Missy was the one that jinxed the TARDIS somehow?
Well, that's what I was saying. That maybe she did something to the TARDIS.
Well, we've seen this twice now, is what we were talking about when you dropped out shortly there, Scott, was that Chris pointed out that we saw the TARDIS kind of like hesitant about taking off and stuff in Pyramid at the End of the World. And we assumed it had something to do with the gas, the exposure to that or whatever, but this could be something that like that was the first attempt at whatever is behind trying to pull it back to the vault. But, you know, there's a reason it's going back to the vault. It's going back there. And maybe it can't materialize in the vault for some reason, because the Doctor would set like some precaution there, because he wouldn't want a TARDIS within eyesight of Missy.
Yeah. Definitely not. That's true.
But they knew Nardole well enough to know that he has, from what we understand, a cursory understanding of flying it, at least. You know, it's like taking someone that has basic knowledge of flying like a Cessna airplane. You know, you're not going to put them on like a big passenger flight plane and expect they're going to be able to land, that like a. Yeah,
he knows how to fly it, but he's not a master of it.
Yeah, so it's almost like someone that's used to flying like a private Cessna plane, and
one of those smaller jump jets.
Yeah, and going, well, you know, Nardole's not qualified to do that, so.
Just like River isn't as good as the Doctor, technically, because there was something that happened that controlled the TARDIS too with her. And she's like, I don't know what's going on. It's good, whatever. And he's like, do this, do that, and it's like it's still not working. Maybe that thing is related to the voice in the TARDIS from way back when. Although Moffat wouldn't do that, would he?
No, I'm with everybody. It has to do with Missy. It's an attempt to try to take over the TARDIS.
Yeah, but that's an interesting thing you brought up, Joe, because like you said that you always like to think that was the Master. What if that was like some resonant voice of the Master in the TARDIS at that time?
Right.
And like you said, you know, that Moffat's kind of using that as a plot line to pick up with as a thread, because that was never explained at all. Not that Moffat's adverse to leaving plot lines open.
That is true. Well, what do you think of you saw the pictures of Eaters of the Light, I think it was? You guys see pictures of that?
I saw the Next Time trailer.
Let me just show the pictures.
I mentioned this off cast with Joe, that the fact that.
You guys see that?
Yeah, there was a episode of Voyager where they had gone into the holodeck, and but they had more of a Beowulf and Grendel type of thing setting up there, and that's what this episode feels like. Is they took the Grendel story of warriors being taken by a mysterious creature.
They all got tattoos. You see that?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Like Nardole's part of that tribe in a way. Capaldi looks a little different here. Notice that?
You think that he's leaving the show, maybe?
You guys see the pictures or not?
Yeah.
He looks like his eyebrows are a little darker, his hair's a little different.
That's probably just the lighting.
I don't know where Nardole's in a robe.
They're using natural lighting here, obviously. I mean,
do you think this Doctor actually, like, I read something earlier today that Moffat was making a big deal out of the fact that this regeneration is going to be, well, actually, Capaldi was talking about it. Correct myself there. He was saying that we're used to traditional regenerations, and this is going to be something different. That's going to be. I mean, do you think Capaldi, like we theorized before, do you think that he's known that he has a short time, and that's why he's maybe so haphazard? Once he got over the initial regeneration shock, it's almost like he's had a private dialogue with himself in his head where he knows his time is short, being the Doctor. This Doctor.
But how could he know, though? This is the thing. Like, he never supposed to know when he's going to die. You know, like, I mean, every time there's a Doctor, it's like, I'm going to die soon. I'm going to regenerate soon. Yeah, like, but why does it have to be the same, though?
Yeah, but when the fourth Doctor talked to the Watcher, he knew his time was short, and he acted like everything was normal, other than like he seemed a little bit, like a little distracted slightly. But it's almost like, I mean, if
I mean, are they supposed to be repeating that with the Watcher or something?
well, I mean, they could reveal that. That's why he and Nardal have a close relationship like they do, is because he's entrusted Nardal with the fact that he doesn't have a long time to exist in this.
Well, could it be River Song? Because River Song knew about Extremis. It was in the book. So did she witness? But did she witness like that he's going to die or regenerate or something? And maybe he cheated, and he looked into the
How
journal?
could she, though? She didn't even know who the 12th Doctor was in the last Christmas special.
Because she wrote in the journal after the Husbands of River Song, before she went to the library.
Yeah,
in other words, the time that she leaves him, and then I'm guessing that she has a few adventures before the library. Because that's how she's seen Extremis, and she cheated, and she looked ahead.
We see everything backwards, obviously, with River.
Yeah.
And when she saw Matt Smith, she's like, "You're so young," meaning like, or David Tennant. I mean.
Yeah, David Tennant.
Yeah.
So like, if she did know that Capaldi was obviously an older Doctor,
The proper use is how she phrased it. Just before.
I mean, she's seen him in his eyes, so it's like he's old as he is.
Yeah.
Capaldi. But
is it true that they're going to be tying, from what you've read, I guess like I've read, that they're going to try and tie it in somehow with Day of the Doctor when we first saw Capaldi, just like that shot of his eyes with the
that's supposedly that's the rumor that we're going to see the eyes. He's going to do whatever he's there to do, and then he regenerates. But
well, that's what I'm saying is maybe this Doctor Capaldi, he's got a limited time because he's a fixed point with having to go back and be a part of that thing in Day of the Doctor. So
maybe his regeneration is triggered the moment that's done, sort of like the War Doctor regenerated automatically after that without doing anything.
Well, see, Capaldi could actually be in the process of, when I say regenerating, I don't mean actually like having all the flames come out and all that stuff, but he could literally be in like the moments leading up to him. Like that could be his last thing, is setting the coordinates of the TARDIS to go back to the fixed point that we saw with him in Day of the Doctor.
It would certainly add weight to that scene.
Yeah, when he said like, what did he say? Like, no, sir, all 12?
All 13.
No,
Yeah.
All 13, whatever, yeah. Sorry, lost count.
I think what's going to happen is he's going to get hurt. He's going to try to regenerate. He's not going to be able to. And then he's going to have to do something to himself to absorb energy to kind of like kickstart the regeneration. Sort of like other people have helped him regenerate in the past. Like that monk that was with, from the Planet of Spiders, and the Watcher merged with him. So he's gonna have to use some type of energy.
Choji or something like that, right?
Yeah. He's gonna have to use something that's gonna recharge, or like his regeneration energy, or some type of spark that's gonna make the regeneration a different thing, where it's gonna look like a different effect, but he's still gonna regenerate. Like that's what I'm guessing. Because if you think about him using up all this energy for Davros, doing a quick thing with Bill, it's probably a thing where that regeneration's energy's done, and then maybe it's a thing where he can't use in the same incarnation 2 regenerations, because when River went to use all of them to heal him, she almost died. She was like in a coma for like months.
I honestly don't think they're going to get that complicated, because they realize the fan base, the hardcore fans, they're going to be picking things apart, like we are with things. I don't think they're going to make it that complicated for the average casual.
It's going to be a different effect. It's going to be a different regeneration effect. It's not going to be the flames. It's going to be, I think, like a tornado, or different colors, or different weird, center of the storm.
I don't think I think it's going to be more complicated than that. I don't think it's going to be something that's just like that superficial, like where it's like, oh, it's going to be a different effect. that might be the case as part of whatever they're going to be doing, but it's going to be a different scenario. Like, just like it was for Pertwee was like so different than what happened with like Baker, and then what happened with Davison. You know, it's going to be something completely different that we haven't seen. I mean, they're making it.
Well, let me ask you one question. If he goes to Gallifrey to save them or do whatever it is, what if they take his regenerations back? And he's left with one.
That's just going backwards now. I mean,
I don't know.
I was going to say maybe what happens is, because like we're so used to the Doctor now regenerating, and then he's like kind of unconscious, or he's kind of really like confused for a little while. You know, what if in this episode, you know, Capaldi is trying to complete some action like save Gallifrey. He's actively piloting the TARDIS, and then while he's doing that, he regenerates, and the 13th Doctor does what he, you know, finishes that action, and then after it's over, he's like, okay, and then he just like passes out.
Yeah, I think
maybe
Chris is onto something where they're going to have him regenerate at a point to where they've done that before though, with kind of like with Logopolis and Castrovalva, where the Doctor was like in the middle of having to deal with like that master story arc there with Keeper Talk and Logopolis and Castrovalva, but maybe he's in a position to where it's inconvenient this time for him to regenerate, and he does so, and it actually works as a detriment to what's going on, not as a positive thing. Where his regeneration, he actually screws up something because of like he's not able to like not regenerate, and he does that, and it affects what's going on.
Well, maybe this is a thing to create the Valyard. Like maybe he splits in two. And that's the thing, he splits in two, like we talked about possibly.
Yeah, as much as I would like that, I mean, who knows? But I mean, they would have to have a good reason for why that happens. They can't just have it happen and be like, oh well, that just happened there.
And Missy's supposed to regenerate also, isn't she?
See, I've got this weird feeling that what they're going to do is, and maybe I'm way off base here, but it's still fun to kind of theorize. Maybe his regeneration creates the Valyard situation, and that becomes the main villain rather than the Master. And they're going to leave the Master kind of like to the side right now, like for this next series, and they're going to create like, it's almost like Sherlock and Moriarty, where the Doctor's going to be like, because we haven't seen that, where the Doctor, something's going to cause a regeneration where he's not really wholly the Doctor, because part of him has become like the Valyard. There's like a bad version of him, and he's
that actor's still alive, right?
Well, hold on a minute. And maybe that's what happens, is that the Doctor's not sure if he actually died again, if he'd be able to regenerate until he reconciles what happens with the split into like this other, maybe whatever, like bad version of the Doctor, like the Valyard or something.
Yeah, I pitched that idea on here as a way of saying if they were going to have a female Doctor, that, you know, that could be the way that they could say, because like they could say maybe something was different with the regeneration and he regenerated into a female, and then somehow the leftover regeneration energy turned into the Valyard. So that way people kind of get, you know, they kind of get what they want. Like there's a female Doctor for those fans who want it, but there's also technically a male Doctor who's the Valyard, and that becomes the main villain for a season or two. I think that would be an interesting way to show that, because you finally get the Valyard, and it's something that makes sense. You know, it's not just like, oh, he just shows up.
Well,
because you know, if we're ever going to have the Valyard, it's not going to be one season where the Doctor is an evil, you know, this crazy person that's flying around, and that's the season. There's going to be an opposing force to counter him.
Yeah, maybe they're going to create a scenario kind of like the War Doctor, where you're going to have like two Doctors. You're going to have like the proper next Doctor, the 13, or the what number are we at anyways? Like shit.
14.
Technically it's like 15, but then this won't technically be, I mean, really 13.
The proper Doctor after Peter. Yeah. But then you're also going to have like another Doctor that's kind of like a War Doctor, who's kind of like, you know, the War Doctor's canon, but he's not actually really a numbered Doctor.
Right.
In the You know, he's kind of like he's an anomaly in the franchise.
That would be genius too, because if they could reveal one actor and be like, "Here's your next Doctor," and completely throw suspicion off, and then in the show we get two different things, and it's like, wait, what the hell?
Well, what if they do this? Before I lose my thought, because I was trying to say this. What if they get the actor that plays the original Valliant, right?
He's
so
81.
I know, but what if they have Peter Capaldi regenerate into him?
That's
right?
Michael Jason, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, he's definitely going to be the Valliant, and that's why John Sim is there, because he remembers when he was an earlier incarnation about the Valliant, and his sole purpose of crossing over Missy's timeline is not this time, and he shoots him as the Valliant, where he has to regenerate past that into the Doctor again, like to another Doctor, which would be the 13th Doctor. So in other words,
that's too complicated. They're not going to do that.
Well,
I don't think we're going to see the Valliant at all in this.
But I'm saying, like, it is possible. Whether it's, let's say it's not the Valliant, it could be possible. They're saying that it's a regeneration that we haven't seen, a scenario. Maybe the Doctor, like, you know, maybe there are two Doctors that are created. And what's cool is they think of how cool the cliffhanger would be. You know, the regeneration, and there's two separate Doctors, and you're not sure who the proper Doctor is.
Yeah.
Until it comes back, and
I mentioned something like this one time.
Yeah, Scott said that.
Kind of neat is if he's battling. I set it up more like this: he's battling somebody. You don't see who. You just see regeneration energy. You don't know who, and then for like 2 or 3 episodes, you think, "Oh, this is cool. Is this the proper Doctor?" And then, and occasionally you of course switch over to whoever is like laying in a bed. You never see their face. You just see it from pretty much like maybe it's from his POV. And then maybe the third episode is like, "Oh, this isn't the real Doctor. The dude who we've been seeing the POV from is the genuine Doctor."
Could it be a thing that he doesn't want to regenerate, and that Susan's in the episode as well to convince him to keep going? That's why the first Doctor's there to like give him to say, "Look, dude, you can't just give up, or you can't like whatever. You gotta keep going. Like you never lose hope." Like, could it be he's just done with his life? He's been around for 2,000 and some odd years, or whatever it is.
Susan's there because of the first Doctor.
No, but is that what's the purpose of the first Doctor being there?
Actually, meet up with Barbara and Ian and Barbara, since it's just her.
But I mean, you don't think he's there to like kind of put the Doctor back on the right path?
I think she's just there just as a tag along.
You don't think the first Doctor's there as a thing to show him?
So they throw Susan in, even though it's a different actress.
But you don't think that the first Doctor and Susan are there to like show him keep going forward?
Yeah, I think it's just
not at all.
No.
Okay. See, I think that's why in a way that's like a thing for him to see what the past was and his future, and just like go ahead.
I think it's one of those happenstance things where the Doctor and the first Doctor and Susan happen to arrive at that particular moment.
And we're running out of time with John Sim. We're running out of time. I mean,
yeah,
he's still not here.
So that's why I keep thinking the John Sim thing is more in the whole head of Missy.
Right, like I was saying, that I heard.
Well, I mean, what if,
and he talks to him, it's like, "You need to bring me out. This is not the way she's supposed to be. You need to bring me out." And that's why you see him in that whole grayish thing, like they did with when they initially introduced the War Doctor.
Well, what if the new Doctor is actually? We know that Bradley's going to be coming back as the first Doctor. What if the new Doctor regenerates and doesn't know he's the Doctor, and the first Doctor, the Hartnell Doctor, what if the new Doctor is kind of like a companion to Hartnell's Doctor for like an episode, and Hartnell has to like basically take care of the new regeneration Doctor and convince him he's actually the new Doctor, like the proper one. Because of something. I'm just throwing things.
I mean, in other words, it goes back to what Neil Gaiman said, that there's consequences with as it keeps going deeper and deeper to regeneration, that thing's going to get really screwed up, and he's going to get stupider. He's going to get, like, you know, more amnesia or something.
Well, because if something happens to Missy, where, you know, I mean, who knows? I mean, it could be something where he has to give regeneration energy to Missy to help her regenerate, because
or better yet, instead of, she steals his regeneration energy in some way. She cons and manipulates so she gains some of his regeneration energy.
Yeah, which affects his memory for knowing who he is or remembering where he was at or what's going on, and that's why maybe Hartnell needs to be. When I say Hartnell, that's the
the first Doctor.
But yeah, like maybe the first Doctor is the first Doctor is the proper Doctor, of course, in the franchise, but maybe like the new Doctor is introduced, but is kind of groomed along by the first Doctor because of, you know.
But I thought that's why Clara's there. Isn't Clara going to be there too?
I don't know. Is she? I mean, do we know that?
I don't know. Not really.
Well, we have to remember too. He's supposed to regenerate in the Christmas special, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't even know the synopsis of the Christmas special yet. We only know, a couple of things that we've heard. So I mean, it's probably going to be something, totally out there, like, oh, it's this is what happens. And when Capaldi says, oh, it's going to be a different regeneration. I mean, he could be referring to something as simple as, oh, the Doctor is passed out this time, or something like that when he regenerates, or
Well, what if he's underwater?
something like that. Yeah.
He regenerates underwater, or he regenerates in the air, or something. Like he's falling and he's regenerating. They said the Doctor falls, right, in the last episode? When it's connected to the Christmas special, he's actually falling or something.
Well, they technically did that already with the fourth.
No,
I
but
felt it was death.
I know.
as he's falling, he's regenerating.
That'd be a little weird. But I mean, or who knows? Maybe this goes out on like a bittersweet kind of ending. Like instead of kind of with Eccleston turning into Tennant and so on and so forth. It's kind of been like, oh, the old Doctor's gone, but there's a new Doctor here. It's kind of been okay. What if this one ends on like a bittersweet, kind of tone where he regenerates, but then like they cut to something else and something really terrible is happening. Like maybe the Master's in the TARDIS and whoever it is, he or she, if it's still Misty, let's say, or someone new, they see him there passed out and now they've got control of the TARDIS or something. And it goes out on something bittersweet.
Well, if Clara's in it, could he possibly maybe cheat the system and give up his regeneration energy to keep Clara alive?
And then Clara be their Doctor?
No. I mean, he'll regenerate and become the Doctor, but he gives her the energy. Like, he willingly sacrifices himself and says, I mean, we've seen the Doctor give the bad toxin to Perry and save her, that sort of scenario. But what if he willingly just goes, okay, I am choosing to basically commit suicide and sacrifice this incarnation? Because I don't think we've seen that necessarily. He's always been put into a situation with where something's happened to him. He's been in an adventure.
Well, he gave Perry the antidote. He was going to die. He knew he was going to die from that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's because he was forced into that with having because of lack of more antitoxin, the bat's milk or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe this is something where he's just like, I willingly, maybe, maybe he does something to where he does
Merges
something
with Clara?
killing himself. Yeah.
What if he merges with Clara and she's the new Doctor?
God, let's hope not.
You want the show to get canceled?
Is that the worst case scenario?
Yeah.
Probably. Imagine
Yeah,
that. That would be the worst case scenario.
It's going to be, I mean, the answer is very clearly there. We're just like chipping
I don't
away.
think any of this is going to happen. I think it's going to be
We're either overthinking it or we're not
No, but
Or was
but
so easy that we're just overlooking it altogether.
yeah, but the thing is though, we're starting just like doing an investigation. You're starting wide, very wide, and you're closing towards the center. You're chipping things away and getting. That's why I'm throwing stuff out there that's kind of like seems outrageous.
Pretty much what we're doing is we've got the body, we've got we know how they died, but yet we're working our way backwards to find out who did it and exactly how they did it.
Maybe it's going to be something where they just introduce the new Doctor, and you don't see what happens with. Maybe that's what's going to be different. Is we've always seen him regenerate into the next Doctor. Maybe it's going to be something where they're going to introduce, like, they're just going to have the new Doctor, and you're going to be like, okay, wow, okay, so what happened? And then they're going to have to maybe that's going to be the whole thing is like the mystery of what actually occurred that made him change.
Well, what if he actually dies in the finale? And that creates a paradox where Gallifrey isn't saved. And the first Doctor travels because they all got together, with the exception of Capaldi. Capaldi never shows up to do whatever. And everything gets skewed, and the only person that's around is the first Doctor. And he goes right to the Capaldi and tries to revive him or something because he's meant to be there. And now he's not there.
Well, wait, what if we have like the next Doctor actually causing the earlier Doctor's regeneration?
I mean, we've talked about that too, that he gets shot or something, and that's why he's weak or something in the 10th planet. And
no, I'm saying like the proper next Doctor actually like runs into Capaldi and causes.
We're never going to get that. We're not going to get. David Bradley's only going to be for the Christmas special. He's not going to be for the first episode or whatever.
No, I don't mean him. I don't mean like the first Doctor. I'm talking about like the next Doctor.
The following Doctor after Capaldi, he happens to inadvertently meets up with Capaldi's Doctor, and due to the function of it, is the one that causes him to something happen.
Well, it could be Missy that causes the first Doctor to get, or John Sim. But again, we don't even know what the hell's going on with John Sim. If he's just a figment of her imagination or in her head, that I heard a source say that, so I don't know.
Yeah, because like I said, remember when we first saw John Hurt, he was in the Doctor's timeline, and that whole little
But I got to tell you, time is running out, and all this bull crap that we're going to see him in episode 8, episode 9, he's still not here, John Sim. So I'm getting very worried with the Mondasian Cybermen that he's going to be a little part, or he's going to only be in the last episode. Or he's going to be in a little part in the, 11, and then he's going to be a major thing in the 12. Because something is just...
Well, what if Capaldi's Doctor is convinced that he's doing something right, and the next Doctor is coming back from a future... like some future timeline or something of his tenure, and it's coming back and stopping his previous Doctor from doing something that would like completely screw up things in the timeline, and is like having to stop his previous self from doing something that is a mistake for the right reasons.
That's not going to happen because Chibnall has to be the first one to write for the new Doctor. And that would be Moffat's story if we're talking about the finale of the Christmas special, unless Chibnall was going to have the 13th Doctor appear in the Christmas special before he becomes the 13th Doctor. Which
but that's the thing is that I mean, like the last scene that we could see in the episode is just like somebody shows up and just shoots the Doctor, blows him away. And that's the next Doctor for some reason. And then they explain what's going on in Chibnall's first series with why that happened. Like the next Doctor had to stop something with Capaldi.
I don't know if even could be that complicated. It could be a thing where we heard rumor too that the universe gets destroyed, and as he regenerates, he tries to escape the universe and go to a parallel universe that nobody knows who he is, and timelines don't exist.
That would be funny though if Capaldi was in the TARDIS console room, walking around or whatever, and bumps into somebody, kind of like Time Crash, and like turns around and it's the next Doctor, and the next Doctor's like, "What? Like what are you doing here? I thought you were gone already." And Capaldi's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm you. I'm the next one though." And they're all like, "What?"
Well, wasn't there a rumor that in the Christmas special there's going to be 2 future incarnations of the Doctor? That there was that the surprise, supposedly that Moffat's love letter to Doctor Who, sort of like Mark Gatiss' Adventure in Space and Time, is that he's going to really go crazy and bog everybody's mind, where he's not only going to introduce the 13th Doctor, but the 14th or the 18th or some crap, where people are going to be like, what? Like, what the hell is this? That's what I heard. I heard there's a weird rumor that the next 2 Doctors, like I guess that other actor will be the actor after this actor to take over. But I heard that's
like a bad idea to me, because
I heard that's a rumor.
How do you have the 14th Doctor there, and like then when their time comes, they're like, oh, by the way, we need you to come back now because you're going to be the Doctor, and they're like, actually, no, I'm working on other things. So.
Well, that's the weird thing. I mean, unless they get here's the thing, unless that's part of the China contract where the 13th Doctor is for series 11, 12, and 13, and that 14th Doctor is for season 14 and 15.
I don't see that happening.
Well, I don't know. Moffat, again, the last story of Moffat is going to be the craziest roller coaster ride episode ever. That's the last opportunity for him to give us the kitchen sink and everything else. So he kind of missed it this season so far. So this is going to be his last attempt.
And he probably is going to leave things.
I think I heard that. I don't know if that was. I heard that. I think Louis said something towards the effect of he heard that as a rumor about 2 Doctors appearing. But again, we don't know for sure. But
problem is, the 2 Doctors could mean the first Doctor and the future.
No, it was other ones. They said so maybe even the Curator may appear again or something. I don't know. Again, I mean, it would be nice if certain things happened the way we wanted it to, but then, like we always predict, it doesn't. And we're like, oh, the Master was just a simulation in our head. It's like, like John Sim. Damn. It's like, I hope not. I do want to see a multi-master story.
Didn't our friend Stephen Price say something about that he's seen or he's heard reported?
Film extensive.
John Sims was in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
6 weeks supposedly.
Well, yeah, and that's some decent film time there. I mean,
unless he filmed something for the new season.
Well, we know Bradley's been in Cardiff recently.
But what if, like, Chibnall loves John Sim and he wants him to be the Master, like out of order, like F it, and just him be, in. But then again, they would never show John Sim regenerating to Misty.
No, I think they're going to have John Sim in her head, and then the new Master is going to show up in the new season, but they're going to hold off in revealing who exactly he is. They're going to wait till.
I'm wondering, like, what causes Misty to regenerate, or die, or going to die, or something.
Probably something that happens in the 12th adventure, the 10th adventure, or the 9th adventure. She does something.
She's not even in the 10th one now, right? So.
Well, Chibnall's Broadchurch series is like a serialized sort of series, right? Where it's like a whole season's like a story arc, pretty much. Mm-hmm. See, I see Chibnall changing the series, which is neither good nor bad, depending on who you are judging it. I think they're going to go away from doing individual storylines for like an episode, like one-offs. I think they're going to go more for things with Chibnall, kind of like Broadchurch, where it's going to have like a continual story arc for each series that the Doctor's in. Like the Chibnall's first series is going to be one story arc with some variants going on, but I don't see them returning to like the classic. The one story thing goes on, then they go to a totally different story, and then they go to a totally different story. There's going to be a lot more of a.
Do you think that what he's going to do, Chibnall, that's going to be so earth-shattering is that he's going to have a young 13th Doctor that is going to lose his TARDIS, and he's not going to really know who he is. And the reason that the show is going to be dramatically different is that he's going to be a Time Lord without a TARDIS, going on adventures where somehow something happens and he's transported to a doorway somewhere else, or he encounters aliens attacking Earth or something, and he gets the TARDIS back at the end of the season.
Well, that's what happened with Pertwee. I mean, think how radical that was. Which I love. Pertwee's my favorite Doctor. Yeah. That's my favorite era. Is Pertwee. I mean, like, think how radical that was.
Well, what if this Doctor's like a drunk, like he's so messed up in the head because you don't know what he is, and he's drinking. And I'm just saying. Imagine how. No, just imagine how this guy just knows something's wrong, but he's like drunk and lush, and people are like, "You're the Doctor," and he's like, "What the f are you talking about?" And he winds up like defeating. No, but he winds up defeating like these people, like these aliens. And then it's like he's like, "Why you keep calling me the Doctor? Like I'm not anything. I'm a human being. Like whatever."
He's down at the pub, pissed off his head, like talking to random strangers about, "Oh, look. Let me tell you about the time I was at Trenzalore."
Right, and he just and you know, then he has a sonic screwdriver. You don't know what the hell that is, and he uses it because maybe his regeneration's so screwed that sometimes he's a Doctor with shades of memory, and sometimes he's not. And this girl is trying to help him. This young girl that maybe they fall in love. I mean, maybe this is the crazy thing who knows? And then the TARDIS is just, you know, he stumbles upon it.
I could see them easily doing, based on what limited knowledge I know about Chibnall with Broadchurch. I think they may be doing something where they are going to have more of a complete season story arc, where it's going to be kind of like the radical departure between Troughton to Pertwee, where Troughton was always traveling around all the time, and then you hit Pertwee and he's grounded on Earth, and then you have these individual stories go on, but the whole linkage with Pertwee is that he's mainly on Earth.
So Chris Marshall will be the Doctor just on Earth, if it's Chris Marshall.
And it'll be something where it's more, there's more like episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like all of these, like it's a continual story going on and not an individual story where they go to one adventure on this planet, one adventure in the next episode, one planet in the following, you know, things like that.
Where it could be like the companion that's trying to help him and take care of him.
I think it's going to become a little bit more, almost like a soap opera, where they're going to make it more of a drama series, leaning more towards drama with sci-fi elements. But it's
I'm going to go with that. He's not going to know who he is. Period. At all. And it's going to be and that's going to be the thing. It's like he don't know who he is, like Doctor Who, like. And we don't know who he is because nobody knows his real name. So it's going to be like, and him trying to find out because maybe the regeneration energy wasn't enough for him to remember.
John Smith.
I mean, maybe, and this girl, like maybe, like I said, and I'm not trying to listen. I'm not trying to make a joke about it. I'm actually serious. Like he's just so screwed up in the regeneration that he's drunk at the pub. This girl's trying to take him in. This young girl that he saves her here and there, thinking he's not a hero, not this, but he has all this stuff in his brain. Sort of like human nature when the Doctor didn't know who he was, but then the baby was going to get killed and crushed, and he took the thing and he chucked it on an angle where it stopped everything and saved the day. Like he just starts doing these things that are just unreal, or coming up with these scenarios to defeat these things and still not knowing who he is. And she's like, "You're something. You got to remember who you are. Like, these people keep encountering you, and they keep calling you the Doctor. Like, you know, he's like, I'm just a human. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, whatever."
Yeah, to build on what you're talking about, maybe what's going to happen, maybe kind of like with Pertwee's era, they're going to do something with the TARDIS where the Doctor's unaware that he's the Doctor for like a short period of time.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And he's not going to have access to the TARDIS. So he's not going to really know. He's going to get like an idea like, well, I'm not like everyone else.
Right, after a while.
It's going to create like angst for him. It's going to create drama. They're going to be able to write like a love interest in there or whatever.
It's going to be like an outcast. He's going to,
and then they're going to slowly build it up towards, as the series progresses along that season, to where the reveal at the end of the season is going to be, he discovers the TARDIS. He walks in there and he's like, okay, like I'm the proper doctor now. But
I'm the doctor. This is my TARDIS, right?
Yeah,
and then it's like whatever. I
could see that happening. I could see
that's probably going to happen.
They're going to start this doctor as not really being like the doctor that we know, where he's
right. They'll do a trailer and like, have you seen the new Doctor? And then he's like falling off a stool or something, and then like these things attack. Right, well, and then it's like Doctor Who, like, and it's gonna be like weird like that.
I don't know about all the drunk shit you're talking
about.
I
think it's gonna happen.
But I'm saying no. I mean, they might make him more of like a doctor where, like I said, they're gonna throughout the season they're gonna kind of build towards more where he's gonna finally realize exactly what he is. But you're not gonna have the doctor like knowing about regenerations and Time Lords and Gallifrey and all this kind of shit. And he's gonna be. They're going to make him more of a normalized sort of character, but we are going to know that he's the Doctor, but he's having to learn and kind of like reacquaint himself to himself. And
so they're not going to have anything out there like the Daleks with the plungers. And
he's going to have to learn. He's going to have to learn exactly who he is again. He's going to have to go through the process of like reacquainting himself with himself.
So it's kind of it might be a little darker too, because it might be that these threats from Earth are more realistic than, like, what
he's not going to know, like, if I get shot, I'm going to die. I'm not going to regenerate. He's unaware of all this shit.
But the villains know that he's, like, with their technology, has two hearts, that he's not, and they hear about the Doctor, so everybody wants to challenge him or something. Like, it could be something like that, and he's like, I'm not the Doctor. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Just like if Human Nature continued. Where was David Tennant just like being like that, and then these things coming at him? That might be the key thing that would make it different. They don't have to spend a lot of money. They don't have to spend a lot of money with a TARDIS and alien planets that for now will be on Earth and just like
Yeah, because like with Broadchurch, they're going to make it more accessible to people. I think I think they're actually, and I could be completely way off base about this, but just for fun, I think that I think they will make it more serialized in that you're going to have less of a sci-fi element. It's not going to be so much sci-fi. They're going to make it a little bit more inclusive for like people to win back the fans.
And they'll probably have old companions interacting with him with no memory, trying to help him along the way, where they'll actually have guest stars from previous series flat out show up.
But I can see that would be a change of tone of the series, and it would actually modernize it, because you would have a Doctor that we, like the hardcore fans like us, we would recognize this and we would accept it because we understand what they're going for. We would go, hey, they're not shitting on us. It's longtime fans. We understand that they're just like with Pertwee. They put the Doctor in a different situation because at the time, we got to remember, like way back then, when Pertwee was the Doctor, that was like totally different and radical to have the Doctor stranded on Earth, and they set up like a serialized sort of family of characters. You had the Brigadier, you had Yates, you had Benton, and like that was how the show was modernized at that point. I see that kind of where they're going now with Chibnall, possibly, is they're going to make it kind of like that in a way, to where the Doctor's not going to be all about gallivanting around the galaxy and all these planets in every episode. It's going to be like, well, this is the Doctor. We know it's the Doctor, but he's kind of, that's a way of rebooting the show in a way. And we know that Chibnall is kind of doing a soft reboot in a way and doing his own thing. And they're going to make more like Broadchurch, where it's kind of like, you're dealing with like more of a series storyline of a certain group of characters.
Right.
And it's going to be the Doctor.
So in other words, maybe there will be a female lead maybe it'll be a male lead, so a female and a male lead, like that. The male will be like the girl's friend, not boyfriend, and like maybe they're gonna turn it into like a accidental thing, like a Peter Sellers Pink Panther thing, where like Peter Sellers, like Inspector Clouseau was clumsy, and then it like he went down, and the villain would get shot or like blown up or get thrown out the window from different things.
I see more like Mike says. It's going to be more of a the Pertwee-esque stuff to where you're going to be based in one area. Yes, he's going to leave Earth, but it's going to be a very unique
It might be a 3-episode thing, because I don't think they would do the whole season like that. So maybe he'll come into his own, remembering who he is by the 2nd episode or 3rd episode in the end of the
but they're going to, like Broadchurch, they're going to have like there are going to be other characters. It's not just going to be the Doctor and a companion. It's going to be like there's going to be a family. There's like 4 or 5.
The Briggs group.
Yeah, there's going to be like 4 or 5 characters, including the Doctor, and it's going to be like from episode 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be a continual thing, but we're going to recognize that's the Doctor, just like Darren Pertwee. Like the first season, 2nd season, whatever with him, and you're going to have different threats that occur on Earth or different things that are going on. But I see them kind of there. I believe that Chibnall is going to write it to where it's going to be less about individual episodes being totally different adventures, and it's going to be more about a whole season being about an overall story arc going on.
So the whole season connected as parts.
Yeah, but it's not going to be like Tom Baker, where it's like every episode he's going to a different planet, different threat going on, different whatever.
So it's going to be like Deep Space Nine, totally connected. Like later on when they had the war and everything.
Well, I mean, I guess for lack
like things are connected, like where you would have to watch each episode to know what's going on. Because if you don't, you get lost.
Well, it could be the opposite, though. It could be like once they establish this is the new norm for Doctor Who, you could actually tune in, and there's going to be different things going on in each episode, but they're still going to have story arcs going on. Just like in Pertwee's series, you got the Brigadier, you got Liz or Joe, Benton, whatever, and you're going to have a family. They want to establish the show. I think they're wanting to change things to where it's not a Doctor companion. Every fucking episode.
It's pretty much it's like almost.
They just want to be a group of friends just helping them out. Like a whole group, right? Like just.
Yeah, they're going to make a younger Doctor, and of course they're going to throw a woman in there that's going to be a possible love interest somehow, kind of like Mulder and Scully. You're going to have like a character where, it's going to be it's going to be less kind of about it. Well, it's going to be more like Pertwee and Liz Shaw, and less about Matt Smith and Amy Pond. That sort of relationship. It's going to be something where they're more working together with things and less like love interest sort of deal, but possibly that's there because they want to throw a bone to the fangirls and have them go, are they going to hook up or not? They're going to do that drama thing. That's going to be part of the story arc. But at the same time, you're going to have the Doctor that we all recognize. And I think they're going to wait to actually integrate him with the whole concept of the TARDIS. I think they're actually going to stretch this regeneration out, where this Doctor is going to have to take more time to actually understand and realize exactly who and what he is. Kind of like I see a whole series that Chibnall is going to do, like one episode that Pertwee was in, Spearhead from Space. If they took like that one episode, the way, not like with one enemy, but I'm saying like if they took like the way that the Doctor was portrayed by Pertwee in that episode, and they stretched it out for about one season, because they're building up, and you're waiting for the Doctor for these things we recognize with him to kick in, for him to realize exactly what he is, a Time Lord, who he is, and recognize and come to terms with what exactly that means to be who he is, and to learn what he has been, where he's come from, all that kind of stuff. Because I believe they're going to go with a younger male Doctor, not a female. I believe that that's what's going to happen. You're going to have a younger guy, and he's going to have to kind of that's going to be one of those like things where he's going to be having to relearn who he is and realize who he is. And until he knows who he is, he's not going to be out there traveling and adventuring because he's still in the grips of coming to terms with who he is.
Maybe someone has his TARDIS too, so he doesn't have that connection. You know, maybe somebody just dumps him and just takes it. Like the Master, maybe you won't see Missy regenerating to a god, but you'll see maybe she'll appear in the Christmas special, and you just throw him out of the TARDIS, and it'll be like the man's hand in the TARDIS shutting it and just taking off. You know, and that would be like a mystery. Like once he starts remembering, where the hell was my TARDIS?
Well, and the master going forward in Chibnall's era could be something like the cigarette smoking man in the X-Files, where they're always in the shadows and you're aware as a viewer that they are there, and the Doctor's trying to figure out, you know, what's the purpose of this person? Who are they? And the Master knows who the Doctor is, but he's not telling the Doctor, you know, exactly who he is, because why show his hand? You know,
He wants to play a game with him, yeah.
Yeah, because he's finally got kind of like control over the Doctor in a way, because the Doctor's unaware of who exactly he is and what he is.
That's why the next Master should be Charles Dance.
And then
older
on top of
Master
that,
and a younger Doctor.
and keeping that same aspect, just like they did with Anthony Ainley, after a while they scrambled his name, so you didn't know it was a Master episode. Every time they won the cigarette smoking-esque man, they scrambled the individual's name, so you're thinking, okay, who is this? So you don't know who the true actor is.
What do you think, Chris? He's been quiet for a while.
No, I agree with you. I definitely want the show to have more of a connected story, because to be honest with you, I'm tired of these kind of like monster of the week kind of things. I've never been, and there have been other shows that I've watched that have done that, and it's like, okay, but this doesn't lead to a bigger story. It's like they resolve the episode. That was one of the things that I was kind of iffy on with this last Ice Warrior episode, is that, like, okay, that was good and all, but this doesn't play to a bigger story. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree. I think there's going to be a younger Doctor. I hope that Chibnall does more of a connected story to where, you know, even if you don't know it at first, towards the end of the episode, you realize, oh, this is connected to the bigger story because of, you know, something that's revealed in the episode or something. As far as the Doctor not knowing who he is, I definitely think that would be interesting. I just hope that the only thing that I have an issue with that is that sounds like he would be on Earth a lot, and I kind of want them to get away from Earth. However, if they do have a storyline where he's trying to figure out who he is, that's a reason to keep him on Earth, rather than he's just staying on Earth every time just because.
Well, and like you're saying, Chris, like the X-Files, like the first season, it was like Monster of the Week, as you see, and that gets boring because it's like it's like a cookie cutter template for like every single episode. You're kind of like, okay, well, they're gonna wrap it up at the end of the episode, and then next week it's gonna be the same thing, you know, same shit, different monster. Yeah. But the thing is, they started introducing cigarette smoking guy in the X-Files, and the mythology was starting to be laid out there. And I see them doing something like that with Doctor Who now, because we know that there's going to be a change in tone of the series, kind of a soft reboot from what they've said. So they could very well do that, where Chibnall's going to actually just ground the show a bit, give the fan... I mean, look, we grew up in a time watching classic series where it was like every fucking episode, different planet, different alien, you know, like Monster of the Week sort of thing. But I see them just becoming more modernized, where they're going to do something like that. Yeah.
Like they don't have the money to go to another planet, so they said, the hell, we're not even going to try this season, we're just going to stay on Earth.
He'll go, but there'll be an explanation how he gets there, instead of going, okay, there's a planet, we'll go there. Where with Pertwee, the Time Lords, during his probationary appearance, you have to go here to resolve this. You have to go here to resolve that. and in this upcoming season, whether the Time Lords once again gain control of him or not, which would be kind of interesting, mind you. So as a sort of as a revenge tactic for what he did, they're the ones that steal his TARDIS. So, and
I mean, really, but by now, I mean, honestly, I mean, I know we love the classic series, we love the brand, if you will, of Doctor Who. But don't you think maybe it's time for them to do what they did with Pertwee, where they just where it's not like what's the monster of the week? Because honestly, this season, in my opinion, things have become bland and mediocre because they've done that. Where it's
this
like, what planet are we going to? What are we doing? Like, do something where you actually have to invest yourself in a story and actually you follow the characters.
I'm sorry. There's a reason why they got rid of the sonic screwdriver during his fifth incarnation. He used it as a crutch, and if they got rid of the sonic screwdriver and the sonic shades for a while, to where the Doctor actually had to use his mind to try to figure something out, I think that would also help. It's because it's like every single time something happens, zzz, oh, it's this, zzz, oh, it's that. I would like to see the Doctor sit down, tap somebody's chest, and go, or go do some chemical work somewhere, and go, oh, it's this, instead of automatically falling to the
like Pertwee.
Yeah, like Pertwee did. He didn't always use his sonic. Only time he used his sonic screwdriver was to pretty much just open things up, and that's all he did. He didn't use it to analyze as a damn tricorder.
Yeah, I mean, you have so many tropes that have been revisited so many times in this series that honestly it's become like they need to utilize a different approach to the series because it's become so cookie cutter where it's like, okay, like you watch Doctor Who, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen in the next episode. The Doctor and his companion are going to go to Planet X. They're going to encounter Enemy X. There's going to be like some strife that goes on. The Doctor's going to solve the problem via some bullshit thing, and then it's going to be repeated the very next week. Different monster. You know, they need to do something where they stretch out a season, and they actually get into writing, like not these little gimmicky sort of crap.
Yep.
But invest into the character. Like today's modern TV, you get invested. They actually write.
Yeah.
They build up the character to where you don't have to be on some flashy planet fighting robots and blasting them with ray guns. Write a great character. The Doctor is there's so much untapped potential with that character that they could actually write this character that's been around for 50 plus years and actually give you new insight into who this character is while he's learning about himself.
Yeah.
You go, and like Mike says, plus you care about the characters in those other episodes. It's getting to the standpoint to where you switch on Doctor Who and it's like, okay, I'm just watching it just to see how he gets out of this, or I don't want to see if they happen to have a throwback to the show 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But we need to stir the pot in order to get something fresh. And if it means that the Doctor's legitimately trapped on Earth for some reason, instead of going, oh, I'm just going to stay here for shits and giggles, that gets old.
Yeah.
Honestly,
and I think also what would help is if he picks up a companion from the past. I know I'm sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but these modern day companions have gotten old and dull. I understand it brings in the new viewers. Yes, it helps in the long run to explain something at the end, but it would be great to see a companion from the past who was raised on Star Trek, who was raised on Star Wars, as if that was going to be the future, and then they arrive actually in the future. It's like, oh, okay, this is nice. Where's my jetpack? Where's my Jetsons style house and traveling the universe?
Chris was talking.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, this is a small nitpick, but not really a nitpick, but something that I think would be nice. The main set for that show recently, not to even just recently, but the main set for that show is, the TARDIS control room. I would like to see that change a bit, and I don't just mean like the walls change and the control panels look different. I've always liked the control room that the Seventh and Eighth Doctor had in the movie, where he had that like armchair and it was all really stylized. Yeah, and it looked a bit different. I think it would be cool maybe to see them kind of change the structure of the control room. Maybe move the control, like keep the center column, of course, that goes up and down, but maybe make the control panels around it a little different. Maybe give him a place where he can sit and think, like or he could just sit and relax. Make it kind of look like almost like a living room that that the Doctor would live in, because Capaldi's, to me, I don't know if it's just me, but it looks really messy. It's like the whole thing looks. It looks like people are saying, it would be cool if we put this over here and we put this over here and we put this over here. It's like, okay, but what is the theme?
Well, in the new series, they could actually do what they did with they could do what they did with Mulder in the X-Files, where every episode ended with him in his office, kind of like reminiscing and ruminating about things.
Yeah.
They could have the Doctor in the TARDIS, but for some reason, maybe the TARDIS is not allowing him to leave Earth because he's not quite himself. And this regeneration is taking longer to ground him and for him to realize who he is and what he is, like I said before. So, like, he could actually be living in the TARDIS, actually, but it's not going anywhere because it like, you're not you right now. So we still have the Doctor, we still have the TARDIS, we have these recognized, iconic sort of things, obviously, but it's a different feel for the show.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool too if they explored some more rooms in the TARDIS.
I agree with that.
Like not like Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. I mean, like maybe there's another room. I don't know. You could really do anything with the TARDIS because they've established that it's basically like a whole dimension. So I mean, you could put stuff in there.
That's what's cool because, like, if you had the Doctor grounded there, and he's not quite 100% the Doctor that we know.
Yeah.
And this regeneration's taking more time. Maybe like the first series. It's taking him a lot of time to really get 100% back to being the Doctor we know. And the series like finale could end with him kind of like getting back to like, the Doctor we know. And you could have like a story arc with maybe what's going on with the TARDIS, where like there's whatever, an alien threat or something going on.
Yeah.
And you could have an episode in the TARDIS, and that could be the whole thing where the Doctor's like, I'm in my own house, basically, and I don't know what to do. And there's a threat in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And and the TARDIS is like a whole fucking world in and of itself. I mean, we haven't really seen anything. And I mean, the TARDIS is like eternal. I mean, it goes on. There's like rooms going on forever and stuff.
And that way they can show old control rooms.
Well, that's what I was about to say too. As he's going through it, like Mike D said, he doesn't know who he is. As he's going through it, maybe he goes into the original control room and he starts to get memories of being in there and regenerating. And then maybe he goes, the last one he goes into is Capaldi's room, and that's what, like, he catches up with himself. He's like, oh wait, this is what happened. And then at the end of the episode, we see the new control room.
And you can have the Zero room show up again also, right?
I would bring that back here.
And then as he's going through there, he goes into the wardrobe, and that's when he picks out what his new outfit's going to be.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yes.
And the doctor actually, in this season, could be not committed to a particular attire. He could just be dressed in different ways or whatever. But then when, like Chris said, like that could be like building up to that point through this series. And then that's the last episode is everything comes into play. He realizes who he is, what he is, picks out attire and goes, looks at the camera and goes, you know what? It's time to go do some adventuring. And then it ends right there. And then people are going, oh, I can't wait. This character, you know, when you actually build up a character, you have to establish this character and everything about them, make them interesting.
Yeah.
And not cookie cutter. Make them interesting, get the audience invested in them, and then put them on an adventure. Then send them out there, because now you know who they are. And you're like, okay, now we're going on adventures. They could do that. Like, just use one season. Like, what is it, like 13 episodes? They could easily do that. You know? Concentrate on the writing and showing and establishing who this doctor is. And then get everyone excited about this character and build it up. And then go, you know what, now he's going out there and he's going on adventures. And people are going to be like, oh, now I can't wait to see this. Because they have to do a reboot somehow. And that's
got to get everybody excited in it somehow.
Because otherwise it's like, okay, well, he regenerated. Now the excitement's over. It's back to the same old, same old. He's going to be going to a planet, fighting a fucking robot with a ray gun. I mean, you know, you have to pull it back a bit and reestablish who this person is and get the audience invested and being excited about, you know, like, I can't wait for him to go on an adventure. And then this could be leading throughout the series. And the last episode in the first season could be him with a character that they've established during the course of that season. And then him going, you know what? Let's go have fun. And then they go into they take off.
Well, why don't they establish like this specific place that he keeps going to? Sort of like he goes to Earth a lot, but this whole galaxy of all these life on these planets in this galaxy, you know, and establish like round that as, all right, you know, he's traveling there lately because something's connecting him to, like, this is either this war that's happening or this thing that's happening in this galaxy, and all these different aliens from these planets that are linked in this solar system, I guess, that, like, he becomes friends with these people, and these people are kind of like companions, but only when he goes to that planet, you know? So whoever he's traveling with here, like, there's a supporting roles, you know, that they'll just travel with him to the neighboring area. Like, maybe there's a thing like a key to time type of thing, or something in this area that's found that, you know, something. I mean, I think that they need to do out of the box, like something just.
Well, they could introduce something. Obviously, there could be like 3 things going on as story arcs, right. And they culminate into the last episode of the first series with the new Doctor, and he realizes who he is. Number one, you have a companion that is a character that's introduced in the series that you realize in the last episode the Doctor takes on as a companion. He gets in the TARDIS with that companion and is like, you know what? We got a job to do. Let's have some fun. And then they take off, and then you're like, wow, I can't wait to see what's going to happen. First episode, series 2.
Well, what if they do it like this? What if the rumors for this Christmas special are true, and that the story revolves around why Capaldi is there saving Gallifrey in the 50th, right? And let's say that he actually is, like, he regenerates right after his scene there, or during that scene, right? And he saves Gallifrey, and the TARDIS winds up on Gallifrey after it's saved, right? And he's regenerated into the 13th Doctor, and the other Time Lords, they see his TARDIS on Gallifrey, they go inside, and he's passed out, obviously, because of the regeneration. And what if they do this idea that he doesn't know who he is, but instead of it being on Earth, it's on Gallifrey, and they try to mold him into something that they want him to be, because he's regenerated, so he doesn't know who he is. They're trying to mold him into their ideal image of a Time Lord, because the Doctor really doesn't fit their ideal image of what they should be. But throughout the season, he's learning. He's like, wait a minute, this isn't who I am, and he's starting to have, like we said, those, you know, things where he's like, wait, I'm not this person that they're saying. And he's traveling around. Of course, they could go to Earth, but like maybe it's because of maybe the Gallifrey is going to be the big thing that happens next season. That's going to be different. Is that Gallifrey is going to be involved.
So like the whole thing is set on Gallifrey mostly.
Well, not the whole thing. Like he would leave, but what I'm saying is that, you know, they have him there and they're like, hey, this is an opportunity for us to mold the Doctor into something that we want him to be.
Basically brainwash him.
Yeah,
Right.
because he's remember, he exiled Rassilon the last time he was there. He, you know, yes, he saved them, and they're grateful for that. That's why they don't just kill him. But, you know, they have him there, and you know, when they go in the TARDIS and they see, oh, he's just regenerated, he's unconscious, he doesn't know who he is. He's always had people around him to kind of guide him back to being the Doctor most of the time. But
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever actually had somebody who's been like, hey, Doc, you're not really a good person. You're
Well, what if
actually...
it's in the Gallifrey, but it's another planet that the High Council rules over? Because they have to go somewhere.
What I'm getting at is that it doesn't really matter what planet it's on. It's just the Time Lords are doing this to kind of mold him into the Doctor that they want him to be, but it's different from what he actually is as a person.
Okay. All good stuff, guys. I gotta say, this has been a great cast. All good stuff. Hopefully, it can get as good as we want it to be, but I have a feeling it won't. But we'll see. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Mike D, Chris, Scott.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye for now.